Yep, welcome back to SeaBed. Last time I spent a lot of time yapping about my theories and things I had noticed. And then and then I started reading and everything got turned on its head. We finished the prologue and now we start chapter 1, which is from Takako's POV, where she's in the mental asylum for some reason. And it's unclear when this takes place, or if this even takes place in the same timeline as the prologue that we saw, or a lot of things are unclear. And we also got this tip here that was very, very mysterious. Room 208 in Narasaki's clinic, which seems to be the same place that Takako is in chapter 1. Yeah, I don't know what to make of this right now. Right now, I'm just letting my brain absorb the information, and I'll wait for the theories to form themselves. But right now, I'm very confused. I won't lie. Let's start. I wanna see what's happening. Okay, so if I remember, the context of this is that Takako is telling the other girl, Sanae was her name. Takako is telling Sanae about a memory she had, a time she traveled before. Okay, so that's what we're seeing now. I'm guessing we're gonna see Sachiko. The sky on that day was of the color of brand new jeans. Brand new jeans. Is it? The wooden planks creaked under each of my steps. The main tourist attraction to this port town were above the sea. There were countless restaurants and souvenir stores lining the wooden deck. Oh, wait. Ooh, there we go. The wharf had seen its fair share of views over the years. Some of its plank let out unsettling creaks as people stepped on them. Surprised by the abrupt sound, I jumped back, almost crashing into a tall young man standing behind me. However, he managed to dodge me, his light blonde hair fluttering in the wind as he did. But by the time I regained my balance and was about to apologize, the man had already blended into the crowd of tourists, vanishing from sight. Where are you right now? Is this, port town above the sea? Is this somewhere in America, or is this like the UK or something? I'm more so judging from the background, but... Oh, hello, Sachiko. I guess this is the first time we've seen a sprite of Sachiko, right? Because the only time we've seen Sachiko before was in CGs. This is the first time we're seeing her sprite. As I was trying to find the man again, Sachiko came over and told me she had spotted him by the crab signboard. Really? It's doing this effect again. It did this half black, half background thing in a previous scene. I think it was with Inukai when he was going down the stairs. And it was weird then, and it's still weird now. I don't know what this is. I looked in the direction she was pointing at, and saw a large sign shaped like a ship's steering wheel. In its center, it had the picture of a massive crab. I hurried toward it. Sachiko followed. Don't move from here. I told Sachiko to wait while she was still busy admiring the sign, and turned around to look for someone who'd take a photo of us. Hey, photo! Could you take a photo of us, please? I approached a well-built, middle-aged man wearing a sun cap and conveyed to him, mostly through gestures, that I wanted the picture. The man gave me a thumbs up. I hurried back to the signboard and lined up next to Sachiko. Don't forget to smile. I wrapped my arm around Sachiko's waist and pulled her closer. Ooh, she looks sassy. Then say something funny. Say whiskey. The man pushed the shutter button while I was flustered. Say whiskey? I've never heard that one. A jumper cable walks into a bar. Just as Sachiko narrowed her eyes. The instant print camera flashed and our picture was burned into the film. Holding the finished picture, the man hollered aloud, okay, our way. Right at the very last moment before the flash, I spotted a tall young man standing behind us. After making a peace sign right in the middle of our picture, he gracefully drew away from us, melting into the crowd of tourists. Damn, got photobombed. What was that? I think it was the man you almost crashed into earlier, said Sachiko, looking in the direction the mysterious person disappeared in. The man wearing the sun cap returned to us, balling his hand into a fist to convey how great the picture turned out to be. Balling his hand into a... I'm not sure I know that gesture. Meanwhile, the floorboards continued to creak under his weight. As he reached us, he handed me the camera and the picture. Thanks. You're welcome. He patted me on the shoulder with enough force to almost dislocate it, then disappeared into the crowd. I flapped the picture a few times for the image to show up. Ugh. I see you made some new friends. Sachiko addressed me as I let out a gasp of surprise. The picture showed a somehow discontent Sachiko under the crab sign, and there I was next to her, making a confused face as I looked not at the camera but the young man behind us. And it was just the man that hijacked her picture. There was a whole group of people making weird faces and peace signs that I previously hadn't noticed at all. You got pranked. Prank kid. I wonder if we came a bit too early. The ship we reserved to reach the island was nowhere in sight. Is this the island? I leaned against the wooden fence to catch my breath, making it creak. A gust of cold wind from behind ruffled my hair, caressing my cheeks as it drifted along towards the town. Thirsty? Yeah, a little. What's this? I spotted one of the tourists holding a transparent cup with some odd drink. The top of it was white, while the bottom was black. On second thought, I could have sworn I'd seen that before. Is it cola? I wonder if it's a Coke float. Is that what you want? Sachiko narrowed her eyes and smiled. I saw it being sold at the shop we just passed. Want me to treat you to one? You would? Thanks. Sachiko turned around her eel, her long hair dancing in the wind, and continued down the road towards the nearby shops. The street was lined with brightly colored blue, red, and yellow buildings and signboards, but the clamor of shop owners calling everyone to take a look made even that visual effect pale in comparison. Sachiko, clicking her heels against the hard asphalt, kept passing by and dodging the never-ending groups of people going the opposite way. I shifted my gaze to the scenery of the town once she disappeared from my field of vision. The sight itself felt as though I was gazing at the stage of a grand opera. It was enough to make me heave a sigh of admiration. Beyond the vivacious shop district and up the slope, there rose countless buildings that boasted roofs of matching colors depending on the district. The road twisting up the hill and into the distance seemed as though it cleaved the entire port town in two. It connected to various other streets crawling around the slope of the hill. In the distance, I could see bean-sized cars popping up and out of the lush fir trees and tall buildings with rectangular windows. Bean-sized cars? What do you mean by that? The tall structures on both sides of the town seemed like dull office buildings, but hiding between them, I could also spot a few more hotels with a certain individuality. They boasted graceful Renaissance barge boards under their windows, as well as intricately designed Corinthian columns. Okay, Takako is apparently an expert in architecture. The few mansions in front of them seem to have been built using Victorian architecture, with arched entranceways and tower roofs. I felt almost like a rabbit could come darting out of them at any minute. A good number of trees towered among the building, giving the colorful townscape a somewhat relaxing feel, like pieces of broccoli lining a lunchbox. I guess she is an artist, so I guess this is how artists see the world. The various old buildings from before the Industrial Revolution, mixing in with those utilizing a more modern type of architecture, gave the town the look of a colossal toy box. Before the Industrial Revolution. So is this the UK? There are even a number of ancient-looking cable cars running along its chaotically designed roads. My eyes grew tired as I tried making out where the cable car was going. I shook my head and closed my eyelids. I could hear the sound of waves among the noisy bustle of the town. A ship horn sounded somewhere in the distance behind me. A gust of cold wind whizzed past my ears, making the flags in front of the shops flutter, and rustling the trees as it continued rising up the hill. I felt like I could hear the buzzing of engines and cable cars, even the spinning of wheels from the distant road I had been observing. I listened in, imagining that the cacophony of all those sounds was the breathing of the town as one giant living organism. Eventually, in the chaos of all those noises, I made out the stable rhythm of a sound I was familiar with. I listened more closely, concentrating on that one sound alone. It was a sound of heels clicking against a hard surface. Here, I bought what you wanted. Okay, is Takako autistic? Like, is that what I'm supposed to get from this? Like, the way she's describing her surroundings and noise, like, this is so strange. Thanks. As I opened my eyes, still facing down, a pair of shapely legs entered my sights. Ooh. As I raised my face, I nearly collided with the black and white drink from before. I took the cup from Sachiko's hands. It looked like coffee with some cream on top. Yep, that's the one I saw. It's called Irish coffee, apparently. Sachiko didn't have anything besides the cup she handed me. You're not drinking anything? I'm not really thirsty. I guess I'll help myself to this. I brought the glass cup to my mouth and tilted it. The first thing I felt was a cream, which was nowhere near as sweet as I had anticipated. If anything, it had a fairly mellow taste. Then came the coffee, spreading all across my tongue. As I finally took a big gulp, something suddenly burned my throat. Yeah! A small mouth spilled out the side of my mouth, but I thankfully managed to regain enough composure not to spit it out like a fountain. That was whiskey! Yes, it seems like they mix it in with the coffee for this drink. Chuckling, Satsuko pulled out a plastic bottle. That sounds fucking disgusting, by the way. Satsuko pulled out a plastic bottle with water from her handbag and handed it to me. I heard the horn of the ship resound again. Drinking my water straight from the bottle, I turned around and saw the ship. Ooh. Okay. The ferry wasn't rocking too intensely on the water. I leaned over the railing and saw the ship's propellers making white foam waves below us. Oh, just like the drink you just had. Each time the ship rode a high wave and sank back down, there'd be a big splash. The crisp, somewhat moist sea breeze gently cooled my cheeks. You didn't need to drink it all. I forgot all about the ship for a while there, but I'm okay. The wind feels really nice here. Sachiko was looking at the sky. I shifted my position on the railings, putting the back of my head against them, and followed suit in gazing up into the sky. There was a flock of seagulls flying above us. Seagulls? I followed them with my gaze, noticing that the port town we just left had already been enveloped by fog. All I could make out were the grey silhouettes of tall buildings looming on the slope. I turned towards the front of the ship and spotted the island we were going to. It was visible from the port as well, but after getting closer, I also made out a lighthouse, as well as a rectangular white building that looked like it could have been a school. Large trees covered the eastern side of the island, hiding from whatever else was there. The western side consisted of a large cliff of white rocks. It's more beautiful than I thought. Sachiko was looking in the same direction. If I didn't know any better, I would have guessed it was anything but a prison. Oh, is this fucking Alcatraz? The island used to be a prison for isolating highly dangerous criminals. I'm looking at pictures of Alcatraz. It does look pretty similar, and it is like a white building, just like they said. So yeah, I think that. I mean, I don't know what other like isolated prison on an island it could be, but the place gained fame as an impossible to escape institution, making its way to countless movies and novels. Clank. One of the turrets tried its strength against the iron bars. The first building we visited consisted mostly of one long rooms with a tall ceiling and 3 rows of solitary cells on both sides. All the cells were small rectangles with white iron bars serving as doors. Plain concrete stairs with iron railings led to the upper floors. The room was so massive I felt like this road with cells would never end. I peeked into one of the cells and saw a bed, a water basin, and a toilet. I also spotted a picture frame and a magazine lying on the floor. Turning around, I looked at the other end of the passage. The countless parallel bars stretching on and on in my field of view overwhelmed me with feelings of seclusion and order. The path split into two once it reached the wall at the end, leading left and right. I could see light seeping in through the open doors. The rectangular patch of light on the floor looked like another door. Oh. As I was staring at the light, a dark-haired woman passed by me. Sachiko, looking into the cells on the other side, reached the end of the tunnel, took a turn, and vanished from sight. Wait! I hurried after her. I ran up the concrete stairs. Once I reached the landing, I changed direction. By the way, did you know that the Japanese word for stair landings references dancing because that's kind of what you look like when you turn? Did you know that the Japanese word for stair landings references dancing because it's kind of what you look like when you turn? What the fuck is a stair landing, first of all? That's my number one question. A flat platform? Okay, it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. Okay, that's what a stair landing is. And what's the word for that in Japanese? Odoriba. Okay, I get it. Okay. Like a dance floor, but it's also a staircase landing. Okay, I get it. When I was younger, I really thought it was a place where people danced. But isn't the same word used for stair landings when you don't need to turn? You have a point. Why did you suddenly bring that up anyway? I don't know, it just popped into my mind. We've only been seeing foreigners and Western stuff as of late, so I guess I felt a little nostalgic for Japan. Stair landings came to us from the west, though. Really? Speaking of which, this reminds me of the time we played tag at our apartment complex. You jumped out the window at the second floor landing and twisted your ankle. My ankle hasn't been the same since. Every time I turn my foot, it still creaks a bit. Jesus. But man, I sure remember all that ancient history. Well, it was shocking enough to leave a lasting impression. I thought you were dumb for running into a dead end on those stairs, but I underestimated your stupidity. What kind of idiot would jump out a second floor window during a game of tag? I was so pumped up that I didn't even think about the consequences. I mean, this is just the kind of stuff kids do, you know? Not me, that's for sure. As we finished climbing the stairs, Sachiko peeked into the cell to her left. I think this is the one. She urged me on with a glance. Yeah. There was a dummy shaped like a man laying on the bed, no doubt to trick the guards. Further into the cell, we spotted an air vent and a poster partially hiding a hole in the wall. Wow. An inescapable prison they once called the place. Yet, there were indeed a few who managed to dig their way out with nothing but a handful of spoons. That hole is smaller than I thought. I patted Sachiko on the shoulder. She chuckled as she saw me imitating a guard inspecting the dummy with a flashlight. Whoa. We continued down the main street of the building and walking shoulder to shoulder. Looking into the cells next to me, I spotted blue canvas and some painting tools in one, a mountain of magazine and Bible pages scattered on the floor in another. It felt like each cell reflected the personality of its former owner. Some of the inhabitants seemed to have tried to utilize the small space they had by changing the positions of their beds or attaching shelves to the walls. The sites of what was most likely handcrafted furniture stood as a visible memento of the many years these people must have spent here. It doesn't look too bad. Sachiko abruptly spoke up. I considered her face. You get food every day, you're allowed to exercise to stay in shape, and you can spend all your time reading books. I feel lightheaded at the very thought of being locked up in such a cramped place. It doesn't matter where you are. The important part is what you do. You'd grow bored of reading if that was the only thing to do every day. Doesn't that also apply to the outside world? At least on the outside, you're not alone. That makes it better. I guess so. Sachiko gave the handle leading to the showers a careful look. I lined up next to her and gave her face a careful look instead. Then I imitated taking a shower while Sachiko quoted a line from a movie. We'd been together long enough to not need words to communicate. I felt happy about that. Why is Takako doing so much miming? Like, you can see the sea from there. Sachiko, walking in front, turned her head back to me and pointed ahead. The viewing deck from which we could see the sea looked like it could belong to a ship. Standing on it were a couple of giggling young girls enjoying their shopping. There was also a young man. He sat in focused silence, painting a picture. Then there was a biker admiring the sea from the seat of his motorcycle. A tanned man with dreadlocks dancing to reggae music. A woman sitting at the edge of the pier writing poetry. An old couple simply gazing out at the sea. There were all sorts of people, each of them freely enjoying the sight of the sun gradually sinking below the horizon. I'm sorry, there's a guy dancing to reggae music at Alcatraz? Oh, new song? Noticing that it was growing dark, I stood up from my chair and flipped on this light switch. Sanae filled our empty cups with freshly made tea. Didn't run into any ghosts and such? I was the ghost. I took a sip from the steaming hot tea as Sanae asked that question. I don't believe in stuff like that. Honestly, if any place had them, it would be there. I mean, we're talking about the ruins of an old prison. You think so? Yes. Well, now that I think about it, weren't there some famous ruins on this island too? Really? Sanae's expression clouded over as I directed my gaze beyond the window. I like ruins. It's pretty cool to know there used to be something magnificent right where you're standing. You feel like you've glimpsed something from the lives of people you've never met. Even if someone died there and you're seeing their ghost? Is there even a place on the earth that hasn't seen that? That's a good point. I mean, I'm sure someone died even in this very spot over the course of 1,000,000 years. I bet they even waged a war or two around here. I think it'd be much harder to find a place with no potential spirits wandering about. I see your point, but don't ruins make you feel somewhat uncomfortable? Like you said, they make you imagine all those things that were lost. I think it depends on your perspective. That doesn't scare me, at least. I suppose you're right. If anything, I'm much more scared of not knowing. Isn't that just your usual curiosity at work? Maybe. I've traveled all over the world, after all. Traveling sounds like fun. Have you ever wanted to travel, Sanae? Sanae stopped her nod midway and cocked her head in thought. The twigs of a broad-leaved tree shivered beyond the window. The wind continued to howl. Jesus, it really is howling. It almost felt like the scent of the sea drifted across the room. I think I'd be too scared to go to an unknown place. I probably want someone like you to accompany me. What do you mean you'd be too scared? Yeah, and I'd be too worried to let you go all on your own. If it's okay with you, I wouldn't mind tagging along. You're used to traveling, so I definitely feel safer with you around. Won't argue with that. I can take you all around the world. A broad smile I made caused Sana's lips to curl up as well, albeit only slightly. But she soon returned to normal. I did not mean to intrude, but why did you break up with that Sachiko person? No matter how hard I thought about it, I simply couldn't remember. You broke up with her? Or... I mean, you said you don't remember. No matter how hard I thought about that. Is it that in this timeline or in this universe, Sachiko is the one that died? And you made yourself forget? Just like Sachiko made herself forget you died in the prologue? It's okay if you don't want to talk about it. Sanae's voice brought me back to reality. Nah, I was just thinking. It's not like I don't want to talk about it, it's just that I can't really remember. Oh, do you think it's part of your condition? What exactly is your condition? Probably. Certain things were missing from my memories. Okay, there we go. And when I tried to think too much about them, I started losing my grasp on reality. In that state, despite being conscious, I wouldn't be able to see things right in front of me, and all sounds would feel distant, barely audible even. It felt like walking through a long, dark tunnel with no lights. With only the boundless darkness in front of me, I started losing track of whether I was moving ahead, standing in place, or actually going backwards. That sensation will only last for a few moments, though. Just remember a few important details. And she tries to remember. A sound similar to that of a grandfather clock striking the hours would suddenly make me realize I'd fallen awkwardly silent in the middle of a conversation. Look at the time, Mayuko's gonna be here making her rounds any minute now. Is Mayuko the only worker here? Seems that way. I think I'll be going then. I don't want her to get angry at me for making you stay up all night. It's about time you went to sleep, right? It is, yes. Sanae picked up the book she'd left on her bedside and returned it to the shelf. Good night. I stood up and returned the cane chair to its former position. Do you have any plans for tomorrow, Takako? Not sure. I'll go to the night duty room after this and ask Mayuko about it. Do you have anything planned, Sanae? Her library is open to the public on weekends, so I'll be there till noon. This has been on my mind ever since I first heard about it, but do people really ever come here? We have a few visitors from the outside, but there have been a number of people that came looking for old books. Can't blame them. There's no older building than this on the entire island. You're on an island? Okay, that's interesting. On an island. Huh. Merely remembering the amount of dust I discovered on the shades made my throat hurt. We had a few guests from the Western Ward, too. Right, they don't have a library in that building, do they? That's right. Okay, so you're in the Eastern Ward? That's right. I tried remembering how that place looked, but couldn't. Anyway, I'll drop by again sometime. Okay. Good night. I left the room as Sanae lay down on the bed. I could see light seeping out through the window pane of the white wooden door. Okay, this is a very Japanese room. I turned the silver handle on the door and it opened with no resistance. As I removed the slippers and stepped on the tatami mat of the small living room, I heard a sound coming from the kitchen. Takako, Mayuko's voice reached me from the same place I'd heard the sound. Good evening. Good evening. Didn't lock your door? You shouldn't barge into people's rooms without knocking. I'm sorry. The door was unlocked, so I thought you were expecting me. I try not to lock those in case of unexpected emergencies. That's kind of a dangerous thing to do in a sanatorium, isn't it? I sat down in front of the table as Mayuko appeared from the kitchen and placed a cup of steaming hot tea in front of me. Thanks. You're welcome. Mayuko straightened her back and gave me a faint smile. Ah, that's right. She trotted back to the kitchen and returned with a red can. It made a popping sound as she opened it up. Using the lid as a coaster, she placed the can on the table. It was filled with cookies shaped like tubes, ribbons, and hearts. The colors made me assume they were coffee and cocoa flavored, though some also seemed to contain chocolate and sugar. In any case, they were a sight for sore eyes. Hope there's no lemon flavor, because we know Takako doesn't like lemon. They look delicious. I'm truly grateful for your help with the lights today. Please have some. Don't mind if I do. I picked up a tube-shaped cookie and put it into my mouth. There was something buttery and sweet inside it. The taste made me involuntarily smile. If this is the kind of stuff I get, I'll happily change those lights for you every day. I took a gulp of tea. I'll be sure to ask you again when help is needed. After I gulped down another star-shaped cookie with some tea and heaved a relaxed sigh, I suddenly recalled my initial goal in coming here. Well, that's right. Is there anything I have to do tomorrow? Yes, I would like to ask you to do some cleaning. Again? There's no one else working here? Or this is an awfully large building for so few people, so we need to clean it periodically lest we find ourselves overwhelmed. I call it a pain in the neck. Please don't say that. What will you do? I'll be visiting the town. I almost jumped up. I'll be stuck here cleaning everyone's mess while you're out and about in the town? How's that fair? I'm not going here to have fun. Yesterday we harvested more vegetables than expected, so I'm visiting the town to try and barter for something more easily preservable. What? You're running a farm at the sanatorium? And you're going to barter? Like, this doesn't seem very official. Is this like an official like sanatorium? Is this like government licensed? This seems very sketchy. I'll help out with the cleaning if I make it back in time. Mariko showed me her palm in a soothing gesture. Can't I go barter with them instead? I haven't driven a car in ages. I made a pretend gesture, acting like I was turning an invisible wheel. I cannot allow a patient outside without supervision, but if we go together, there will be no one to handle the cleaning. Are you guys short on funding or something? I raised both my hands, trying to emphasize the importance of hiring a new cleaning lady. This is a sanatorium. We'd have to keep our staff to a minimum. What? I've heard they had more people in the northern ward, where they bred all those cows and chicken. What the fuck is going on? What do you mean you're breeding cows and chickens? What? What? This is a sanatorium / farm? Like... I don't believe they're all that different from us. Mariko's cool demeanor proved her to be impenetrable to my suggestions. Geez, whatever. Oh, I wonder if the north... I wonder if the northern ward is where all the men are, and the southern ward is where they keep all the women. Like it's segregated by gender. Because I guess we have only seen women in this ward, so it would make sense if all the men are in the northern ward. Geez, whatever. In that case, I'm gonna ask for that. It's been a while anyway. That. After trying one of each type of cookie, I picked up an extra large one with beads of sugar on top. That? Gay sex? I put it in my mouth, closed the lid of the can, then moved it to the side of the table. On. Oh, no, sorry, not like, that's like a moan. Ah, yes, that feels good. Here? You can do it harder. Okay, this is obviously one of those jokes where you think that they're having sex, but really she's like giving her a massage or something. Like this? I collapsed my upper half on the table as Mayuko let go of my shoulders. Your shoulders weren't stiff at all, Takako. Yeah, there we go. It's only normal to get a massage if there's some strenuous physical labor. I stood up and pulled out the futon from the closet. How do you say this? Futon? Futon from the closet. I moved the table aside, placed the futon on the floor, and lay down on it. Oh, okay. I don't know why you're doing it in this position, but... Okay, try to do it a bit more gently this time around. That's crazy. I'm not sure if I can keep up with you for much longer. Letting out a sigh, Meiko sat down on my back. Gwah! How rude. Can you press here and here? I pointed out the rough location of the spots I wanted her to rub. I didn't get that at all. I'll let you know if you start massaging a wrong spot. Meiko exhaled yet another sigh and pressed the area between my shoulder bones. This seems... This seems extremely inappropriate for someone working at a sanatorium to be doing with a patient, by the way. This is definitely not by the books. Oh, sorry. Meiko exhaled yet another sigh and pressed the area between my shoulder bones. A little bit lower. A gust of wind rattled against the window. I could hear it whistle through the cracks. The shadows began to lightly twist and sway in the corner of the room I'd been staring at. I looked up to see that the light above was swinging on its cord. Ooh, wait. That's a very important detail. Because at the very beginning of this, we had a very short scene with Takako where she woke up in a room and it was all dark and her ears were ringing, and it mentioned that she saw a light, like a rope from a light dangling from the ceiling. So that seems to indicate that she was here in that scene, because there's the same thing, the light swinging on its cord. Like I think this is the same thing that was in the scene we saw at the beginning. That's some pretty strong wind. There's probably some leftover sea breeze. We get strong winds near the end of the autumn. We're in autumn again. Okay, we're always in autumn. Wait, what? Didn't they just say they just said that autumn was right around the corner the last time, didn't they? I have that in my notes. They said that autumn was right around the corner, so why is she saying that we're near the end of autumn now? Or maybe she's not saying that we're in the end of autumn right now. She's just saying when we get to the end of autumn, there's going to be strong winds. I don't know why she would say that. We get strong winds near the end of autumn. After a while, it comes down a bit, and we end up with weaker but ultimately colder gusts. Sanae told me the same thing earlier today. The window frame rumbled again. You talked to Sanae? Yeah, we discussed the book she lent me, then I told her about one of my trips. One of your trips? I'd love to hear about that myself. I don't feel like telling the whole thing all over again on the same day. Maybe some other time. Meiko gave my shoulders a light yet reassuring knock of the fist. Ah, that's good. I see you've gone quite close to Sanae. There are so few people here, and it's always better to have more friends, no? Yeah. Thanks to that, Sanae seems a lot more cheerful lately. Even her condition has improved. Really? Well, we found her in the library, didn't we? She used to never voluntarily leave her room, regardless of the weather. And her facial expression have grown richer. I'm pretty sure it's your influence. Well, if you keep talking to people, you eventually end up taking on their facial expression too, I guess. Is that so? I mean, talking means conveying one's feeling, right? And to do that, gestures and expressions are sometimes even more important than the words themselves. Like, you know, body language and all that jazz. I don't know about body language, but I know this is definitely a thing for speech and like the words you use. Like if you talk a lot with someone who uses certain words a lot or like certain phrases, you're gonna use those words a lot more yourself. Like that's just how humans work. I suppose that makes sense. The wind seemed to have calmed down, making the room feel as though it was floating in a calm sea. By the way, did you know that the whites of human eyes serve to make eye contact easier? I don't think that's true. Maybe you've noticed that very few animals actually have them. In the animal kingdom, where survival of the fittest is the law of the land, having one's action read from their appearance would be fatal. I mean, that might be true, I don't know. Meanwhile, all people need is a single look to convey their thoughts. If that continues to evolve, I wonder if words and facial expressions will become outdated as well. If that happened, things that convey emotion, like books, music, and pictures, might vanish alongside them. Sounds like an awfully dull world, if you ask me. On the other hand, though, by understanding each other perfectly, we might be able to eliminate suffering. Religion and war might cease to exist. You could be right, but without books, Sanae would be out of a job. But that would certainly be unfortunate. Does she have a job right now? Is she not just a patient? Maiko seemed to have fallen deep in thought. Hey, your hand stopped moving. I want more massaging. More, I say. Maiko gave me a patronizing okay as I decided to express my dissatisfaction in a childish manner. After enjoying the touch of her hands for a while, I suddenly thought of something. What is it? This is about what we discussed earlier, but doesn't Sanae communicate with anyone else? Well, for starters, there aren't many people for her to talk to. In the past, we had a bit more patience, but most of them left us right before your admission. I see. There are multiple reasons why one would leave a sanatorium. Some of them might not have been exactly cheerful. You're saying they killed themselves? But then I don't really know everything about Sanae either. I started working here after she was already a patient. Really? Yes. Because she's been here for over 5 years, she said, right? So, yes, I'm not that different from you on that front. Well, if there's a difference, it's that I have access to the medical records. As Maiko began to focus more on the conversation, her hand stopped. How bad is Sanae's amnesia, anyway? I doubt I'm allowed to discuss that without explicit permission from the person concerned. It's okay, we've already breached that rule like a dozen times in this story already. It's fine, just go ahead. You shouldn't ask things like that so lightly. Mayuko suddenly added more strength into her grip and squeezed my shoulder. Yeah, I thought that may be of some help if I knew more. I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with those groups where people share their problems with each other, and that makes them feel better and stuff. I'm not saying it's bad to share that information, just that if you want to know about it, you should probably ask her directly. You can do that, can't you, Takako? We're getting along pretty well right now, so I probably won't. In that case, I don't see the problem. I could hear the sound of a swinging pendulum clock from somewhere. You've been at this for an hour? Speaking of which, have you already written your diary entry for today, Takako? Because didn't the bell ring? Sorry. Didn't the bell ring at the beginning of this scene? Or am I making that up? Speaking of which, have you already written your diary entry for today, Takako? I completely forgotten all about it until she brought it up. Not really. It's one of your duties as a patient. I feel like I could totally start writing if I got rid of the stiffness in my waist. I kicked the freedom with my feet a few times, making Mayuko exhale another sigh. My fingers are starting to hurt. Just a bit more. Just a bit then. Mayuko shifted her position closer to my waist. Careful. But I like how Mayuko made a big deal out of like, oh, I can't give information about Sanae's condition. That would break patient confidentiality. She says that as she's giving a fucking like back massage on top of one of the other patients, fucking rubbing her back for an hour, like being on top of her. Like, I think that you're already breaking enough rules there. I dashed forward to the corridor with my arms pressing the cleaning mat against the floor. The wet trail I left on the floor was easily discernible due to its darker, more vivid color. With some more force added, I managed to make a single swipe take care of most of the dirt. The smell of wet woods flooded my nostrils. It made me remember the time I had to clean the floor back in school. I read somewhere that the memory area of the human brain is sensitive to smell. Yeah, I've heard that too. I didn't know how many times I smelled this odor when I was still in school. Nor did I have any idea as to the amount of cleaning I did. Almost like I had experience with classrooms, corridors, toilets, the teacher's room, the roof of the principal office, and the local train station. Cleaning the teacher's room was punishment for something I did, but long story short, I had become quite an expert at handling wet rags. The thought made me smile as I continued to go back and forth along the old floor, enjoying the smell of wet wood. Eventually, all of my trails connected, leaving not a speck of dirt in the corridor. The trail I made first had almost completely dried up. I used just the right amount of water, neither too little nor too much, and so the final result was nothing short of perfection, if I said so myself. Phew, sometimes I surprise even myself. With the second floor corridor done, I pulled out Mayuko's memo from my pocket. Let's see. I took out a pen from the same pocket, pressing the memo against the wall, and crossed out the second floor corridor from the item listed on it. Next up would be... I spotted a window that could have still used some cleaning. The window frame was covered in dust. I imagined Mayuko brushing her finger against the windowsill, showing off the dust collected on it with an angry expression on her face. The actual Mayuko, after having breakfast and stuffing the back of her car with a box of vegetables, left for town, promising to be back by noon. The box of vegetables that were grown by all the fucking slave labor done at the sanatorium. Might as well. I walked over to the bucket at the foot of the stairs. After all, I was the uncrowned champion of wet rags. The uncrowned champion of wet rags, you say? Okay. The somewhat chilly wind from the sea cooled off my body after it heated up from all the exercise. Leaning against the wooden frame of the window, I gazed up at the blue sky. Then I shifted my view towards the scenery of the port town. Then I inspected the entrance to our sanatorium. Then I spent a few moments gazing at the large tree next to the parking lot. Slacking off? The sheer abruptness of her voice nearly made me fall out the window. I turned around and saw Sanae standing in front of me. Shouldn't the windows be like locked or not able to be opened if you're in a fucking sanatorium? Like, I feel like in this place you would need to be very careful about any like suicide methods, right? She seemed to have returned using the connecting corridor. I kept the door behind her open to keep the air circulating. I almost fell out and broke my legs, you know? If that happened, I would let you have my job. You mean taking care of the library? All you have to do is sit in place and read books. That doesn't sound too bad. Okay, I guess that's her job. Are you getting paid, or have you finished cleaning? I'm finished with this place at least. What about you? It's almost 12 o'clock, so I was on my way to have lunch. Wait, it's already noon? Sanae pulled up the sleeve of her turtleneck and checked her wristwatch. It's going to be 12 in 15 minutes. If you haven't eaten yet, we could have lunch together. I wanted to grab something to eat, but after remembering the cleaning list, I changed my mind. Nah, I'm a little behind as it is, and Mayuko should be back soon enough. I want to clean at least one more room before she arrives. I see. We walked back to the stairs where I had left my bucket. I waved Sanae goodbye as she descended. The bucket! Just like the bucket with a sci-fi city on it. It's all making sense. Once she was gone, I picked up the bucket and the rag. Gotta hurry this up. I continued to the next room to clean. According to the list, it was the furthest room on the west side of this corridor. I placed the bucket on the ground and tried turning the doorknob, but it wouldn't budge. Rustle, rustle. Did she forget to unlock it? It didn't seem like the lock or the handle were rusted. All the rooms that weren't in use were usually locked. And Mariko was the only one who had the keys. The only one? She's the only one in this entire building who has the keys? What the fuck? I let the knob go and stood in front of the door, not knowing what to do. When I turned around, deciding to follow Sanae to the dining room, I spotted the doorknob of the adjacent room. I stopped and returned to it. This background seems extremely similar to the one that we saw in the tips section, right? When Narasaki went in the first room. Like the way the window is positioned, like it's almost 1-to-1, right? As I turned the knob, the door opened with a low creaking sound. Oh. Yeah, this is exactly the same room. Yeah, 100%. I entered the room and slightly disappointed. I parted the curtains on the opposite end of the room. The afternoon sun peeked into the room, outlining its contours. Okay, so I guess that confirms with like almost 100% certainty that this is the same place as in the tips section. The room itself was of the same design. It seemed to have been used to store old furniture. Is this room 008? I could spot a big sofa, a ceramic vase, a wall clock, and a lamp, all ancient looking and covered in dust. Careful not to disturb anything too much, I swept my rag across the floor. The rag turned black from dirt, prompting me to chuck it into my bucket. After a bit of washing though, I realized it ended up blackening the water as well. I wrung out the rag. My skin broke out in goosebumps as I pulled my hand out of the water. Even the temperature felt lower in this lonely room. A gust of air touched my wet hand, making me shiver. The dry, cold air stimulated my nostrils through the mask as I inhaled. I considered the door and the windows. I had both of them closed to prevent the air circulation from disturbing all the dust in the room. Feeling an odd discrepancy about the atmosphere in the room, I tensed up. I slowly looked around myself. The room hadn't changed. The old and discarded pieces of furniture remained still and silent around me. I checked the corners of the room, but I still couldn't shake off this feeling of odd discomfort. As I slowly moved my head up and down, I suddenly started hearing a sound. It sounded like a faint howling coming from the distance. Ghosts? I strained my ears, falling completely motionless. The mysterious sound reminded me of the soughing of the sea you could hear from seashells. It felt as though it came here from the opposite side of some long tunnel. Probably from the window, right? I strained my ears again, hoping to maybe find a hole in the room somewhere. But this time I heard a different sound. It was a weak rumbling noise from beyond the window. It was coming from the direction of the road, growing louder and louder until I heard the sound of tires running over the dirt of our parking lot. Opening the window, I peeked out and saw a car parked down below. After a few moments, its door opened, and Mariko stepped outside. Why does this background look so strange? What the fuck? Is this like a 3D rendering? This is so odd. Okay. Welcome back. Michael looked up at me. Thanks. Aren't you a bit early? I might be. Could you come down and help me carry some of the bags? I thought you wanted me to clean your house. I bought presents. I closed the window and upon returning to the room, hung the rag on the edge of the bucket. Putting my cleaning duties on hold for the time being, I left the room. Oh, that was the whole chapter. Okay. So this is green. Huh. Is that interruption between the chapters, like the little animation? I think it may be color based on which character's POV we were following. Because when we were Sachiko, it was like blue, right? Or something. And now that we're Takako, it's green. And in the tip section, when we were Narasaki, it was red. So like, I think it's kind of following the same color as the character we're following. Sanae, I brought something cool for you. I entered Sanae's room and placed a wooden box atop the cabinet near the corner. What the fuck is that? There's a waist-high glass-shaped window cabinet that had nothing else on top of it. The box felt almost like it was meant to be placed there. Damn, reusing CGs. What's that? A record player. Sanae was a bit overwhelmed at first, but once she heard my words, the corner of her lips curled up in anticipation. The front of the black wooden box had a drawer with a glass cover, as well as 2 square-shaped holes above it. The holes were plugged with what looked like coarse cloth. I unplugged and fixed them with a metal fitting, then sticking my hand behind the box, I found a cable and pulled it closer to myself. With cable in hand, I moved to my usual seat and bent over. I moved the cane chair out of the way with my free hand. A record player? What fucking year does this take place in? A record player? I think it should be around here. And just as I expected, there was an electrical socket behind the cane chair. I plugged the cable. I still carried my right hand into it. Are you sure I can have it? It looks expensive. I stood up from under the shadow of the chairs, brushing dust off my hands. I found it abandoned in the storeroom. I already have permission from Mayuko, and besides, I'm going to be listening to this as well, so don't need to think too much about it. I picked up the brown paper bag I left by the cabinet earlier. I opened up its glass doors and began lining up the records I pulled out from the paper bag. I found the records alongside it, and there were some extras I found in the library later. I'll leave everything in your room, okay? Sure. Sanae adjusted the glasses on her nose and gave the record a long, hard look from the distance. Well then, let's see if this thing still works. Is there anything you want to listen to, Sanae? I inspected the records with my fingers as I finished lining them up. I don't know much about music, so I'm okay with whatever you pick, Takako. Okay then, in that case, let's... I scanned through the records and picked out the one with the picture of an old blue... An old blue what? Peugeot? A French automotive brand established in 1810. It's a car company? Okay. I took the record out of its case and placed it on the rotating turntable. I then raised the torn arm with my finger and slowly put it on the spinning record. You just know how to operate it. After a brief noise, a clear sound filled the room. That's a nice song. Seems to be working just fine. I picked up the Peugeot record case. I don't think this is the right case though. I wish Mayuko was more careful with these. So I let out a small snicker as I began investigating the other cases. It might not have been her. I haven't seen Mayuko use a record player before, so it's entirely possible it was some other person. There were more people here before you came. Mayuko said the same thing. When you two put it like that, it sounds almost like it's my fault everyone left. Not at all. Everyone is free to come and go as they please. What? Everyone is free to come and go as they please? Okay, then I'll just come here and live here for the rest of my life for free, right? Like, as they please, huh? Well, I suppose that's not entirely true. This sanatorium is open for people with special memory disorders, but it's not like it offers any kind of treatment. There's no clear treatment for what we have in any case. So, it's just a place you go to hang out? So, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Okay, I guess I can write down it's specifically for people with memory disorders. This is just a place for people who would find it problematic to survive on the outside because of their symptoms. As such, once that reason is no longer applicable, everyone leaves. That's all there is to it. For people who would find it problematic to survive on the outside. Yes, the specific details of our conditions don't really matter beyond that. But of course, you already know that, so I don't know why I'm telling this to you, because we both already know this, so I don't know why I'm saying this. I'm just reminding you, I guess. She added an extra at all for emphasis. What about the whole reason no longer being applicable part? What happened here exactly? For example, there was a person who couldn't do his job because of his fits. However, he eventually found a new occupation where he would work from home, which eliminated his reason for staying here. I see. You won't cause anyone problem if it happens at home with no one else around. And you should be okay as long as you have your diary and memos. You can make do without being locked up in this place. That's right. There were some people who discovered the frequency of their fits and after some planning, managed to return to their normal lives. Now that I think about it, I haven't seen any of yours. When was the last time you had one? I realized I might have pried too deep, letting out an awkward ah. There was no change in Sanae's expression. He simply asked if I was okay. You don't need to tell me if you don't want to. I don't really mind. Though in my case, it's been such a long time I don't think I remember anymore. Okay, so you're just freeloading here. Oh, I thought she was having trouble when I wasn't looking, but it seemed like that wasn't the case. But then, how long are you still planning to be here? Suddenly considered the room's ceiling. Good question. I suppose I don't have a significant reason to remain here. But just that I've been here for so long that going outside sounds like too much of a hassle at this point. There's a reason I originally came, but after spending enough time here, I overcame it. After getting so used to this place, I could no longer find a good enough reason for leaving. You're only here because it's more convenient this way? Yes. After that, she fell completely silent. Well, I suppose this is a pretty relaxing place to be. There was a little noise here, with no people around. Why are you here, Takako? Sana addressed me just as I was about to change the subject. It's because of that damn ringing in my ears. Okay, the exact same that Sachiko had. I don't think it's anything serious, but everyone around me got needlessly worked up, and before I knew it, I was here. That's all. I see. Before you knew it, you were flown out to this island to the sanatorium? Or did you already live on this island? I see. Are you feeling better now? Yeah. It wasn't that bad to begin with. Sunny made a complicated expression of relief, mixing with slight disappointment. So you're planning to leave soon, Takako? Nah, I've got no concrete plans yet. I see. Maiko doesn't want to let her precious workforce go. Sunny made a complicated face again, almost as if she didn't know what to say. A slightly unfitting background music was playing behind her. It made me feel somewhat gloomy. It was difficult to describe, much like her expression from before. Oh, the creepy music again. Let's stop here for now. This one. The fact that I wonder if there's gonna be choices. The fact that there is only 5 safe slots makes me think that maybe there's not gonna be choices. Because if you had choices, you would put more safe slots in, I would assume. So we got a couple answers. It's definitely more clear what's going on with the sanatorium and why Takako is here. At least in this chapter, like isolated from what happened in the first one, or in the prologue rather. I mean, I still find the whole setup of the sanatorium extremely strange. Like the fact that they're growing vegetables and like breeding animals and selling them in the town, and the fact that there's like 3 people there, like in this massive building, that definitely seems very strange to me. But I'm not sure if that's like hiding something or if it's just like supposed to be kind of weird. I'm not sure. And of course, the big question right now is how does this connect to what happened in the prologue? Because this seems like completely disconnected. This seems like it can't fit together with what happened in the prologue. And also, how does it connect to what we saw in the tips, right? I'm not sure I have good answers for that right now. I mean, I can make some guesses, like, oh, fucking Takako and Sachiko are the same person and they're just hallucinating each other. Or maybe it's parallel universes. Or maybe there was like a timeline split where like, and now we're seeing like 2 different timelines. Or maybe there's fucking time travel and some of them, like one or both of them or some of them traveled back in the past and something's happening with that. Or maybe fucking Sachiko had a fucking car accident 10 years ago and everything we've seen so far has been in her dream when she's in a coma. Like, who knows, right? I can make up a million things, but it's hard to pinpoint exactly one right now, I feel. You know what the biggest question is still? What was the deal with the milk in the baseball field? Will that ever get explained? I'm sure it will. Surely. I can't possibly imagine what possible explanation could there be for the milk under the baseball field. Okay, anyway. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say. Gonna stop here. Alright. See you next time for more adventures in the sanatorium.